Hey guys, it's Penelope in London, and we're looking at the new moon and solar eclipse in Gemini at 19 degrees. It's occurring on June the 10th, 2021, California 3:52 a.m. and New York 6:52 and United Kingdom 11:52. I love this picture. It depicts some of the energy of the new moon, and we have the solar eclipse, and we have the idea of the speech. You can see this beautiful picture here with the bird and the message that we are giving to each other, the messages and new information coming through, some of us being partly held back and trying to figure things out, and also the fresh like birth of life here. You can look at pictures and imagery in any way you wish, but this is what I'm getting from it. I think it's quite beautiful. The artist there, you can see Patricia Ariel. So now I'm going to go to the next slide, and we're going to talk about this chart. What I've got here is I'm going to actually go to solar fire, so do bear with me because we'll get the chart moving as I've got at the end of these slides. And what we've got here is that with a new moon, the sun is always conjunct the moon. The sun is also conjunct Mercury, which you can see here. So you can see that Mercury is involved retrograde, literally on top of conjunct the north, and also the Mercury, the moon and the sun. We've got the north node in Gemini as well. And we've got the moon, therefore it's conjunct Mercury, we know that. The Mercury is actually square. You can see here too, if I get my marker actually and do it this way, we've got Mercury is square to Neptune up here. Mercury is in Gemini and Neptune is at 23 degrees of Pisces. And we've also got that Mars is in conjunct to Jupiter. So Mars is our impulsiveness and our wanting to get things done. And in an inconjunct, there's something that's not seen. And with Jupiter, Jupiter is about truth. So you can see that, if we look at what's happening in the collective, things are coming to fruition and we're trying to figure things out still. So the inconjunct will be working its way through. Mars is also opposition to Pluto at this time. So if you look at Pluto up here, we've got Mars is moving off because Pluto is 26 degrees and Mars is moving off 29 degrees, and it will be going in a few days' time into the sign of Leo, which will be another video. But for today, we're doing this solar eclipse. We've also got Saturn is square to Uranus, which is for the whole year. You can see this. And then we've got the node is trine Saturn. So this node, which is quite lovely, is trine to Saturn at the moment, although Saturn is retrograde, going back to 6 degrees. And then we've got the node sextile to Chiron. So the Chiron is to do with our hypersensitivity in the wound. And with it in Aries, we've been doing a lot of growth there, a lot of inner work. As we know, or maybe you don't, that Chiron takes 49 to 51 years to orb around a chart. And Lilith is involved sextile to Neptune. I work with Lilith myself in looking at my charts. And we've also got Chiron is square to Venus. So, this is our needs. When we look at the needs down here, it's moving on in. It's applying actually, because that's 12 degrees. And when it gets to 12, then it will be an absolute square. And then Chiron is also sextile to Saturn. So there's some nice stuff going on in this chart as well. And that, with individually, collectively, it's one thing, and then individually, it's something else. So let me show you the next slide for now. And this is beautiful. And what I wanted to do was just to explain, because I'm looking at the Mercury idea, a beautiful artist as well as here, Magdalena Pagłoska, I believe that says. So I credit, because that's such a beautiful picture. But the Mercury square Neptune transit, something that's going on, can distort our thinking, which can confuse and complicate discussions and our dealings. And also it's where we're giving or receiving instructions, we can suffer from a lack of clarity at this time and misinterpretations. And remember, it's retrograde, that Mercury as well. And it's where we're dealing with important, there's government and legal matters and professional stuff going on. So we can be a bit confused about things, which I think that's clearly showing up. And when we're dealing with our friends and family right now, we're better off sticking to the basics of communication, because our imagination can run wild and put us in sticky situations. And then also the level of confusion can cause insecurity as well, and with it retrograde. And we want to avoid scandalous type stuff and embarrassments, and to make our life easy. So we have to think about what we're doing with this Mercury square Neptune. It goes much deeper in information. But also I would like to explain what the Gemini means as a keywords. We've got, Gemini is communication, and it's also where we're learning, it's writing, it's where we can be scattered and superficial and cynical, and it can be to do with lies, particularly with that Mercury involved, but it's a trickster, it's opinions, and it's speaking, and it's also the left brain and information and exchanging information, and it's short-term memory. When it's Mercury is short-term memory, it's left brain, and getting our day-to-day life sorted out. So we can have fluctuating viewpoints, and I know this because I've got Gemini moon and Gemini sun. It's also to do with siblings and twins, and it's relatives, and it's also instability, and it's ever changing because it's very subjective. It's also the scribe, and it's short journeys, which are local journeys, and it can be our intellectual doubt as well. And then we'll go to the idea that we know that I'll look at the Sagittarius when we get over to the opposite, when we look at solar fire, because I know people like me showing that. And the other thing I want to tell you is what the Gemini 20 degrees Sabian symbol is, which is quite lovely to know. And also I'll explain to you how you can look at your own chart with that as well. So let's go to the next slide. And these are the aspects which I've run through. You can always stop the screen. The other way you can get this is if you go to astro-seek.com, astro-seek.com. I'll put the link below so you'll be able to access this as well. And these are the ones I just explained to you as I was looking at the chart. And the duality, this is beautiful. This is a butterfly. I always think of Gemini, partly the wings, and then because of the Mercury aspect. And then we've got the duality here, which is very heavily linked with Mercury as well, and also the Gemini as archetype, which is really quite beautiful. And then when we look at your own chart, what you would do, which would be very useful to you, I'm going to show you mine. So then before we go to solar fire, we can see that for me, this is happening in my 7th house. You can see the lined up there. It's actually falling on my moon. My moon is 17 degrees. So all of this is going to conjunct my moon. And then what it's going to do is it's going to square up here for me. So this is, you look at your chart and you begin to look at the degrees. It's fascinating. So you can understand then what this chart is at. The lunar eclipse happened for me. It happened for me in my 1st house. And for the solar eclipse is happening here. We do have 2 more coming up towards the end of the year in November and December. We have some eclipses, and we'll look at that. There's one in the next one after this one today will be in November. There will be a lunar eclipse, and then in December there will be another final solar eclipse. There's 4 this year. So what else is this doing? It's for me, so I would look here. I know that it's happening in my 7th house. So what would that mean? This is what we're looking for, the definition. So if we look for me in the 7th house, what I'd be looking at is the area of my one-to-one relationships, both personal and business. And the focus for me is on others. It's about creating harmony and equality, because also the 7th house is Libra. So we bring in that as well. Although my 7th house is Gemini, it's also Libra. It basically, with this, it's about creating harmony and equality at top of our list. It's time to look at we need to create more balance in our lives and how to have fair exchanges with others. So that would work out then, you know, we would look at a lot more than that, but that gives you an idea. And when I run through the solar fire, I'll tell you what the other houses briefly mean. If you look to where 19 degrees of where the Gemini is in your chart, then you're going to know where it falls. And for me also, I will tell you before I move over, actually, the chart that I'm looking at, I'm just finding my aspects. The sun is going to in conjunct my Neptune. So the sun, which is here on my moon as well, is going to in conjunct my natal Neptune. That means that's 150 degrees apart. And then it's also going to sextile to my Venus, which is quite nice. So it's going to, because it's 17, 18 degrees, it's going to sextile to my Venus, which is, this is my creativity, fun and joy. And then it's going to conjunct my moon. So this is what you would do. I would also pull in what that Mercury is doing for me, but I won't go there now. And then the other thing that's doing, the sun is squaring also to my MC, and it's also square to, the moon is squaring to my MC up here, just here, because that's 20. So it's squaring in. And squares can sound scary, but they're not. You know, it's giving me some support in some decisions I need to make. And also the Mercury is squaring up there as well. So although there can be tension, it can actually send you forward as well. The eclipses don't particularly always happen on the day, but something can happen around this time. You can look back at what happened at the lunar eclipse to see what it ties in with what you're dealing with now. It's not magic astrology in the sense that really it's following themes. These eclipses, they follow a sequence of every 18 years. And I can't remember the exact, whether it's 18 and a half, but I'm learning more about eclipses as I go. And I'll be doing more videos on those. We know that Mercury is retrograde, and also we can see that, you know, with Pluto, I would say that what's really beautiful with this picture is that Pluto is the ocean, and Mars is like the can opener, it's the soul, it's the wave in the ocean. So, you know, and we're not separate from it, but we have this desire to separate, but we always shall return. So that's worth understanding how that works. Jeff Wolf Green talks about that in Pluto 1. He's booked Pluto 1 and Pluto 2. So now what I'm going to do is a new share. And here's the animated page, which I love. And let's do a bit more looking at this. If we look at the sun is our personality and our expression and our life force. So we've got the sun. Let's go here. We've got the sun here. You can see this here. And then the moon is our driving force. So whereas, because it's ego based, so it's partly, you know, and our security, it's our needs. So often it's a little bit unconscious because we've got these imprinted needs, also things we value, and it's to do with our security. So sometimes if we're in fear, we can have, you know, security needs around that, or we can have security needs around love, the love that we experienced or didn't experience as we were growing up as children. The moon is to do with the archetype of mother. Mother does not just mean birth mother, it can the Mother Earth, and then the nurturing, and it can also be, you know, whoever looked after you when you were a child as well. So it all links in. And then what I'm going to show you is, we're going to move this chart forward in a little while, but you can see that we've got 1947, it's Gemini, and it's here. And if it's falling for you in your first house, then this is the area of self and personal goals. And it also represents your physical body and how you look at your physical appearance. You may make changes there. It's a new, fresh beginning. If we look at this, it's also the beginnings of a project and also something new, and how we meet for the first time. The thing is, with the lunar eclipse, it would have been about culmination, something, the light is being shone upon something, and then it can be about endings. And then with the new moon, it's about new beginnings, but sometimes new beginnings can be shocking. I remember about 2 years ago, I don't know, I'm not putting it down to a new moon, it was probably a different aspect, but you know, I was thinking of moving for about 12 years, and one day it just happened out of the blue, and I was completely shocked when it happened. But it was one of the best things that, you know, happened to me over the last couple of years, to be honest with you. So we can be stuck in a rut, and then, you know, this new moon, and it's a solar eclipse, and we can be stuck in a rut, and then something happens which pushes and forces that forward. But because of the area of life and that where it's falling, it's going to define where that's happening. So the second house is about area of self-worth. And this means that this symbolism here will be moving, if that's in your second house, then it would be about self-worth and esteem. It's about your values. It's about your finances and possessions and your natural talents. It's about beautiful things and celebrating. It's also the second house is, you know, what do I really value? So it can be very deep and what we value. The third house is to do with the communication, our short trips, immediate surroundings, and day-to-day interactions, and neighbors and relatives, and it's connected to siblings, and also our communication, speaking, listening, sharing information, and our day-to-day interactions. The fourth house is to do with the area of home. It's also our inner world and our inner emotional security and self-image. So that's the moon. The fourth house is, you know, is ruled by the moon, and it's a sign of Cancer. And also we've got, it's our memories, and it's can be to do with the parent that, you know, generally it is the mother, but not everybody, you know, had that. So it's the person who reared you and was mothering to you, nurturing. It can be, the focus can be on our past and the experiences we had with our home life and our behavior patterns that we formed early on, and how they're working with us. The fifth house is to do with area of fun, romance, creativity, children, and the inner child, healthy expression, and it's to do with joy, and it's to do with the heart, things that come from our heart, and how we express ourselves and our creativity, and the celebrating ourselves and our expression. And it's also the speculation and risk taking, and also, do we have enough joy in our lives? So, you know, it could be a new beginning of being creative in something. The sixth house is to do with daily work and routines. We know the sixth house is to do with daily work and routines and our well-being, and it's also creating order and diligence. It's projects, it's our daily routines and how well they are working for us. So that could be new beginnings in that area, also related to being of service and benefiting humanity and others. So maybe you're doing all sorts of things that maybe, you know, Zoom meetings or whatever you do, you know, that's also creating, being of service to other people. The seventh house, as I said, is to do with one-to-one relationships, both personal and business, and others, and creating harmony. The eighth house is to do with intimacy, deep connections, endings and beginnings, and it's to do with regeneration. And like the leaves on the trees, birth, death, transformation, transmutation, it can be power struggles, shared resources, financial matters, including others. And it's also embracing others and ourselves and connecting on a very deep feeling level and tapping into what's below the surface. With the ninth house, we've got philosophy, belief systems, legal matters, higher education, long distance travel, that's overseas, focuses on expanding our horizons and connecting with others, and also higher education, and on Jupiter, the higher mind as well, because the ninth house is ruled by Jupiter. So 6, 7, 8, 9. And then we've got the 10th house is the area of our career, our long-term goals, what we want to accomplish in the world, and how we want to be seen by others, and our social standing and our influence. And it's our legacy, you know, what are we building to leave behind? And also the focus is on our career and making a commitment. So a new beginnings in that area. But again, remember, you know, these things can be forced. It's like it's not always, it's also to do with the 10th house is to do with authority figures. It's government, teachers, bosses, and patriarchy. The 11th house is to do with our future vision, and it's our wishes and dreams and our like-minded, the others around us, and it's a better future. And also focusing on the group activities and networking and casual friendships, and also it says we can also look at the old, if we've got older siblings as well, here as well. So, and then we would look at the rulers. Astrology is really deep, and I'm giving you a brief understanding today of what this is. The 12th house is to do with the subconscious mind, our direct connection with source or God, whatever you believe to be God for you, and otherworldly. And it's the time that we need to connect with our higher selves, away from the hustle and the real world, so that we can form ultimate understanding with ourselves and the oneness of humanity. And it's also where we finish cycles, leaving behind anything that no longer serves our soul journey. So it's really quite beautiful looking at astrology. If you go back, I think mine goes back to, I think it was 2003, and where, as it follows on from there. And then what we would do is also, we can look at the Sabian symbol, which is quite beautiful. For a Sabian symbol, I won't go into great detail. I can't remember the guy's name who created these actually, but I'll put a link below for Sabian symbol, somebody I found that I'm following on YouTube. And I'll put the link below the video. So Gemini, what we do is with the degrees, with the Sabian symbol, we would actually look at the degree above. So that's 19. So we would look at Sabian symbol 20. And it's the dangers of this 20 degrees Sabian symbol is titled The Dangers of Superabundance. And the word for word is if we take in more than we can digest, then the wastage that occurs is a potential problem. Since early days, when trade enacting the search for spices to improve our food triggered the exchange of knowledge and ideas equally as much as the exchange of surpluses, humanity has relentlessly expanded its range of foods, things and ideas to the point where the surpluses are so obscene that nothing much is being properly assimilated. So if we actually think about what's going on now, there's so much information about what's been going on in the world being thrown around all over the internet and newspapers and news and whatever, that it's, that we can't assimilate it. It's really difficult. It's just too much. And this can, the waste, and in this, it's talking about food, but, food is food for thought, information, they go together. The digestion as well, the digesting of food, the digesting of information. The waste is perhaps even more harmful on a level of mind than materially, because since the truth is all but entirely lost and no discrimination remains between what is factual and wise and what is silly and nonsense, or lies and corrupting influence upon the collective mind. The terrible cost of having failed to moderate our will to expand is an existential threat and the defining principle of the age. And it's actually Ruda, but I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. So that's quite a deep symbolism for what's going on. So let's take this chart a bit forward. Let's watch Leo move into, we're going to go days ahead. We're going to watch Mars. So we got this here. We can see we got some nice trines going on. We can see here from Pluto to Lilith here actually. And there's some, stuff that we've got to work through. There's a Ceci square. I always find it difficult saying that one. We've got some beautiful quintiles. A quintile is a beautiful energy that is basically an energy that helps us to evolve spiritually. So, this is looks like it's hitting Neptune there. Maybe I could be wrong though. It does look like it's hitting, not Neptune, Venus, sorry. I got lost there, Mercury retrograde for a moment. And then we have the squares to, we do have involved, if you look here on this chart, I've got Hamal, which is a fixed star. I've got Lilith, which is an asteroid. I've got asteroid Penelope there, which nobody needs to know what that is. But for me, I love it that I've got an asteroid that's named, that's with my name. And then we have Isis, and then we have also Algol. So I use those there. So these symbols you can see with the, just see here. So we can see that Pluto is going retrograde. We've got Saturn retrograde. We've got Mercury retrograde at the moment. And then Jupiter will be going retrograde. It's reached 2 degrees. So let's go forward. We'll watch Mars move into Leo. 1, 2, there you go. Mars is in Leo in a couple of the 12th of June. And then we've also got Jupiter. When does that go retrograde? Let's go forward. So she's going to station, or she or he? Let's see, stations on the 20th of June. And then it stations, and then it's going to go retrograde. And that's going to go back to 22 degrees, I believe. I could be wrong, but I'll make some more videos on that. I hope this has been useful to you, and I hope you understand what this the eclipses are doing for you. And as I learn, I'll share more information on the eclipses. I'll make a video and show you some information you can look at on some of them, a few of the sites that are really brilliant on information they hold for this. And I think I've covered, I think the only thing I was going to cover actually, which I haven't, was looking at the Sagittarius archetype. I had a bit of paper in front of me, and let's see. All right, Sagittarius. So what we're leaving behind at the moment with that node, the South Node in Sagittarius, will be worth looking at, because I read Gemini to you. So with Sagittarius, the key words are beliefs, it's dogma, philosophy, and it's also intuition, it's honesty. It's not so much leaving behind, it's integrating more to the point. And wisdom, meaning, expansion, it's trust, faith, and also truth. It's a nomad, it's multicultural, it's the pilgrimage, it's honesty, it can be restless, it wants to wanderlust, it's a missionary, it's the priest, it's the convert, it's freedom, half-truths, and natural law, actually. It's the guru, the charmer, the teacher, and alienation. So, you know, this is what we're working through at the moment. And that Gemini North Node is going to be there until the end of the year. And we're just going to keep going forward. And we're learning as a collective and individually too. So, and let me know how this eclipse is playing out for you, the solar eclipse. And I'll be back with more soon. Catch you later.